Hi folks, Phil from Clearwater Airsoft, and we're going to be looking at the KS-1 from VFC. So if you go back on my channel, you'll see about 2, maybe 3 months ago, I did a video on my KS-1 build. I call it the KS 99.9 now rather than the KS-1 because it was as good as you could get at the time, but there are certain inaccuracies that VFC have certainly addressed with their release of the KS-1, or the L43A1 as it is on the box. So what is the KS-1? There's so many videos out there now, I won't spend too long on it, but it's the new rifle, 5.56, that's been adopted by Royal Marines and Ranger Battalion. I do believe there's a slightly different variant of it that's also in use with SF, so SAS, SBS forces. And this is my homage to that gun. So the gun itself is, spot on. You've got the Knights trademarks on it. You've got the URX6 rail, which has the key that keys into the upper receiver, which of course you couldn't do if you were building one yourself. It's got the proper ambi fire selector here, which is a really nice touch. The controls that are supposed to be tan, like the pins, are tan. They've replicated the vertical hold open for the bolt on the right hand side. So you've got ambi bolt, ambi fire, ambi mag catch. So that's a step up from the SR16, which a lot of people had to use. You've got the right colour on the dust cover, and you've got the proper style sort of reinforcing fence there for the captive pin and also the workings of the bolt release. You've got the proper Knights ambi fire selectors, which are really nice. It doesn't come with an MOE grip or a CTR stock, but I put that on. I didn't want the MIDE grip. I really like how comfortable the MOE is. And the CTR stock is what most of the images that you've seen out there in the wild will have on this gun. So VFC have also finally done a tan VMAG. So I've got half dozen at least of the black VMAGs. I really like them. They're really light. They're like 300 and something grams, 220 grams. So if you look at that compared to say a KWA gas mag, the LM4 mags, they're like 700 grams. So it's less than half the weight. I think it's lighter than a TM mag as well. These are the V3 mags. So you've got the red dry fire switch on there. It's slightly different in that on the black VMAGs, that is all one piece. It's molded in into the metal. This is metal as well, but they've done it slightly different, so you've got a separate catch there. And I thought this was polymer, and my good friend Gaz also thought these were polymer, but apparently they're not. They're aluminium, and you can just see there maybe a little bit of the wear where the paint's wearing, because I've shot this gun quite a bit since I got it, but it's really nice. So that's the VMAG. So I will of course be getting some more of those because just the nerd in me wants to have the right coloured mags. One thing that they've done beautifully is replicating the dimpled barrel. It's really hard to show on it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can see that there. And they've replicated how that attaches. So the barrel nut's been replicated perfectly, and so has the gas, which you can't really see at the moment. You might just be able to see it there. The gas port and the gas block also have a castle nut that secures them. VFC do make a tool so you can take both off, but one of the big improvements over the other way of doing a KS-1, which was to get like an Angry Gun rail or an Airsoft Artisan rail and try and do it yourself and get the barrel cut down or extensions added and then get it dimpled if you really wanted to go the whole hog. You don't need to take all of this off now to get to the hop chamber. The hop chamber is accessible from inside the receiver, which is a massive departure for VFCs. And it's a welcome departure. I was a bit reticent at first. It's held in place into the upper receiver by two, I'm going to say about a centimetre long, 1 millimetre Allen keys, or 1.5 millimetre grub screws, grub screws. They're pretty big, they're pretty substantial, they hold it in place quite well, but it does thread into plastic for the sort of the chamber piece. So I am a bit concerned that if you're going to be taking it apart constantly, you could cause some damage. But I also think that as VFC does with a lot of their guns, that part will be available separately, and it's not going to be expensive. It's a bit of molded plastic, so if it does wear out, it shouldn't be too difficult to replace. The hop is also different in that it uses a top dead center approach. Now, I found with the gun I got, when I took it apart to look at the hop, the little black nub was just getting squashed. It wasn't really putting any pressure on the hop rubber at all. So I've swapped that out for my go-to, the Quantum Friction Pro hop rubber, and I've used their nub as well, which is solid. So I'm hoping that gives me a little bit more range on the adjustment. And of course, to adjust it, as I'm sure you've seen on other videos, there is a 2mm Allen key bolt. You might just see it there at the bottom. You can see the hop rubber clearly, but right at the bottom there's a 2mm Allen key grub screw, and you use that to adjust the hop, so you can do it from in the chamber. I get why they did it, because it does away with the guide hop system, but I really like the guide hop system, but I get how they've changed it for this gun, and it does work, and it works really nicely. Paint-wise, they've really got it bang on, as you can see from the match with the genuine Magpul furniture. So I think they've nailed that. Scope-wise, I don't have the real scope. I know Evolution Gear are releasing a replica of the optic that has been issued. I've gone with a Geisley mount because that's what I had, and I've gone with one of my go-to optics, which is Red Win Terreo 1:6x24 LPVO, and on that I've mounted a replica acro using an adapter plate. So it's on an RMR mount, which I had to just modify slightly, and then this is an adapter plate to make it mount. What else have I got on here? I've got a replica Surefire, I've got a Sotac gear, infrared capable and red laser PEC 15. I've got the PTS taps, so the Unity tap switch for both the light and the laser. And then to cap it off, I have got a 3Dips work 3D printed, because that was all I had at the time, suppressor. So you can't take this apart, you can't put a tracer in it, it is as it is. It would sit better and closer to the rail, as it should do, but if you can just see that little bit of silver there, when I got it, I tried it on a barrel extension on my KS-1 that I built, and it pulled the threaded insert out. So when I glued it back in, the glue set before I could get it all the way in. So that's my fault, it's not how it was manufactured. I screwed that up. So yeah, that's the externals. Obviously, as with all VFCs, people buy them because they just got amazing triggers and they look great, but the trigger is definitely a selling point. Another interesting fact, feature, is the new bolt. So this is their Evo bolt. And in my mind, it is the most realistic looking gas blowback bolt available. So it's steel. It is a little bit lighter than the SR16 bolt, but it's got this really nice feature, because one of the problems with the VFC guns, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face and until they change it, they use so much thread lock on these gas key bolts, and the bolts are made of finest cesium, that any torque at all and you round it. And I've had 2 or 3 VFCs where I've had a brand new gun and I've had to get a Dremel and cut a groove in so I can use a flathead screwdriver to get those bloody things off. Really annoying. So now you don't have to do that. You do still have to take the E-clip off the back, but they've now made that larger, so it's a bit easier to get to and put back on. Easier to find when it goes flying off into the ether, as they are wont to do. The back of the bolt carrier group is threaded. I'm going to assume that is so if you want to add some recoil weights to it. And they've changed the nozzle assembly to the, what's it called? The MCX version. So it's not the M4 one anymore, it's the MCX one. And as you notice there, when it's out of the gun, it's quite easy. So this is what you do to take it apart now. Instead of having to take the gas key off, you slide this little peg down in this cam track, and I'm going to just put it back where it should be, there. So that's where it is, and then it slides down to there, and you can take the nozzle assembly out once you've taken the E-clip off, of course. So that kind of replicates how it would move on a real bolt, for releasing the the bolt once the gun's fired. And of course you've got the vent holes there, which most bolts don't have. So it's in my mind, it is probably one of the most realistic bolts. I think there's a few people who would agree with me. Some who probably won't, but that's fine. It works really well. Mine came with an M-Pass installed already, which is nice, especially for the UK. But I did find with 0.3s, it was doing, I think it was doing like 250 FPS, and it was reaching out to 50 meters. So I just left it alone. No reason to touch it. And, you know, until it gets a bit colder, I probably won't touch it again. It's got a nice weight to it. I mean, it's weighted down with all the accessories, but out of the box, it's still got a pretty good weight to it. And they have really smashed it out of the park. I just pulled my stock off there, pull that back on. Even to the point of, and I'm sure you've seen this on a few other posts, the Commando, the Fairbairn Sykes Commando dagger, replicated on the grey buffer tube, as is the technical specification for the contracted guns as well. So yeah, there is the real, genuine licensed KS-1. I forgot to show you, didn't I? Sorry. On the other side, it does have the proper KS-1 markings. So you've got 556 KS-1 Stoner rifle and the unique serial number. And there are the controls on the left-hand side for you to have a look at as well. It's a really nice gun. I'm so glad I got it. Even though I spent a fortune building 2 KS-1s in the past, I have no regrets about buying this one. So what happened to my KS-1? Well, I didn't want it to just be left on the shelf, so I went ahead and I kind of made my own KS-3. So the KS-3 is, if you didn't know, it's the military version, shorter 11.5-inch carbine, which the SR16, which is what this was, suits perfectly. So it doesn't have the right fire controls, it doesn't have the right paddle release for the bolt or the mag release, but it does replicate the ambi controls. You know, it's an older gun. It's not got the same body or markings as the KS-1, and this would have KS-3 on. I've used the SR16 rail just because I got 2 of them. The URX6, the shorter version, obviously doesn't have the QD socket there, so this isn't 100% accurate by any stretch of the imagination. It's got the standard barrel profile, but the real KS-3 doesn't have a dimpled barrel either. And then you've got the tri-prong flash hider that will take the suppressor. This has got a genuine Magpul K2 grip and a replica SL stock, all of which has been seen on the KS-3. And this is what I've done with it, really. So this was my KS-1. This is now my KS-3 alike. And yeah, it's really nice, actually. It's so light with just a red dot on. It's got a really great recoil because of the steel bolt. I've got Magnus Pro hop chamber and the Quantum Friction Pro hop rubber in this gun. So I can adjust the hop in the chamber, and it also means I don't have to worry about guide hop or anything like that. Although the guide hop system is great. I do like this. I think for any VFC gun, if you change one thing, change the hop rubber. If you change 2, change the buffer spring as well. For Waldo Dynamics 85% ion spring, I think they're great. I've got them in all of my AR carbines and love them. And I've got the Friction Pro hop rubbers in all of my GBBRs, bar the Mariama APC9. So yeah, it lives on, my old KS-1. It's shrunk down a bit, gone on a diet, but it still lives on. It shoots great, kicks hard, puts a smile on my face. In fact, it recoiled so much last time I used it, it shook the rail loose. So I thread locked the grub screws that hold the rail on a bit better, and then left it. So hopefully it won't do that again. But yeah, it really does kick because it's so little to it now. So there we go, folks. That's the KS-1, my old KS-1, now KS-3. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.